My name is Bill Green, and again, I'm honored to both be personally and professionally selected to be your Master of Ceremony for tonight's prestigious Florida Inventors Hall of Fame inaugural induction ceremony and gala. I'm a native Floridian. As a matter of fact, I was born in Miami, Florida, and I currently am a national television show host for HSN, who's one of the sponsors tonight. Yes, you can applaud them, us. And it's interesting, but HSN dates back to its inception in 1977. Our history began with the sale of avocado-colored green can openers. On radio, as an advertiser gave us 112 units of product instead of paying their advertising bill. Today, HSN not only is founded and based in St. Petersburg, Florida, but we broadcast into 96 million homes, and we really were the model for dozens of shopping networks that exist throughout the US and all over the globe. In other words, they copied us. Something that's not good if something's patented. Aside from passion for television and having celebrated my 20th anniversary on HSN recently, I also, according to my boss and my boss's boss, have booked 15,000 hours of live television broadcast. It's amazing. I had no idea. But actually, my involvement in tonight's event came from my participation in the USF Young Inventors, along with Dr. Paul Sandberg, who is one of my cohorts and judges in that event. My association with tonight's event and with HSN's support, which is HSN Cares, has brought me to be your MC for the night. And I'm thrilled to tell you that annually I serve with those judges, and I learn so much about not only invention and patenting, but it's just a brilliant experience to watch children as they develop. And that's how I met Dr. Paul Sandberg. Dr. Paul Sandberg, before we get into our formal introductions, I'd like to first tell you about him. He is not only a magnificent leader and a member and the chairman of the board of the advisory committee for the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame, but he also does a lot of stuff. This man is very busy. As a matter of fact, Dr. Sandberg is a senior vice president for research and innovation at the University of South Florida. He's the founder and president of the National Academy of Inventors. And in addition to being a neuroscientist, author, inventor, and entrepreneur, and although all of these things are mentioned in your program, what you don't know about Dr. Sandberg is that he's also a pilot, he's a master flight instructor, he's a huge watch collector. As a matter of fact, I saw a watch he's wearing tonight and I want it. And he probably does shop on HSN, and if he doesn't, by the end of the night, we'll persuade him otherwise. I also recently learned when I walked into his office that he is a graduate gemologist. So I figure if he ever loses his job at USF, we could always employ him in the quality assurance department at HSN and perhaps follow in my footsteps and become a host. So you're probably asking yourself at this point in my introduction of Dr. Sandberg, what doesn't he do? Well, not much. Because on top of it all, Dr. Sandberg is also living his dream as a rock musician and still plays in a pickup band, ready, at the university, called Dr. Paul and the Brain Dead Band. Please welcome Dr. Paul R. Sandberg.
Bill, I like your watch. Well, oh, thanks.
Whatever you want, bro.
That is so cool. Watch HSN, you might get one of these. Here. Anyways, thanks, Bill, for being our Master of Ceremonies. We're delighted you were able to help us celebrate the wonderful event, and we thank HSN for your services. Welcome to the inaugural induction ceremony and gala of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. We're delighted to have so many friends and supporters with us this evening, including Florida Senator Jeff Brandes, U.S. Commissioner of Patents Peggy Focarino, Elizabeth Doherty from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Apalachicola Mayor Van Johnson, over there, senior, Hillsborough County Commissioner Mark Sharp, thank you for coming today, I know you're busy, members of the USF Foundation Board and USF Research Foundation Board, as well as all the groups from USF's several of our sister universities, and it's absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming, and our valued partners, including associates, including SRI International, the Cade Museum, Gray Robinson, Lockheed Martin, the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, Moffitt Cancer Center, All Children's Hospital, Transgenics, the Vaccine and Gene Therapy Institute of Florida, the Florida Research Consortium, Jack, thank you, and the Florida Academy of Science. We particularly want to recognize and thank our sponsors, without whom this evening would not be possible. Our diamond sponsors, Randy Barrage, President of the Florida High-Tech Corridor Council. Randy, now known as the Corridor. He is, as I said earlier, the Toreador of the corridors, so there you go. President John Hitt and the University of Central Florida, thank you, and everyone there. Vice President for Research, David Norton, and all the great people at University of Florida that I met over there. Thank you so much. Our platinum sponsor, TECO Energy, and their president, John Ramil, who also serves as USF trustee. John and the TECO, thank you so much. Great sponsors. And our gold and silver sponsors who are listed in your program and whose logos you had a chance to see during dinner. All of our sponsors, including our individual sponsors, not only make this event possible, but your support provides funding for the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame program throughout the year. I also want to thank our advisory board, a number of whom are with us this evening. They're all listed in the program, and we are grateful for their vision and the support for the Hall of Fame. And our selection committee, also listed in the program, who chose the remarkable inventors we honor here tonight. From a field of outstanding nominees, it was a difficult choice, and we are glad to announce that nominees who were not selected this year will remain in contention for 2 more years. Finally, I want to welcome our inductees and their families, friends, and colleagues who are with us this evening to celebrate their exceptional accomplishments. One of those inductees is John Gorey. In addition to Mayor Johnson, we are honored to have a contingent from Apalachicola and the principal of the Gorey School in Tampa, just a few blocks away from here this evening. I feel a particular closeness to John Gorey because without him, I probably wouldn't have been born. It's true. And certainly not in Florida. I was born in Miami, and if you look at my birth certificate from Dade County, under my dad's profession, it says, quote, Bernie's Ice Delivery. Without that, my parents probably wouldn't have been in Florida, they wouldn't have been cool enough, and I probably wouldn't have been born. So thank you, John Gorey. All right. I have been an inventor for most of my life, and I've spent quite a bit of time trying to encourage other inventors. A little over a year ago, I was lucky enough to be in Washington for the annual National Inventors Hall of Fame, a great organization. At that ceremony, they give out a big book that lists all the inventors who have ever been inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame at the USPTO. That's the book, it has everybody. But you know what? When I looked through the book, sitting there like you're sitting now, I didn't see many inventors from Florida. I got to thinking, well, we have a lot of great inventors from Florida at all our great companies, institutions, universities, and they should be recognized. We began to talk about establishing an organization for the entire state, an organization about Florida and about honoring Floridians. And with the support from my boss, Judy Genshaft, our advisory board and selection committee members, and our elected leaders such as Senator Brandis and others in Tallahassee and in Washington, we launched our little startup. And tonight we are having a very good night. Thanks to all of you and many others. Our future plans include a Florida Inventors Hall of Fame walkway in the USF Research Park. I'd like to show you a rendering of our future Walk of Fame, which will be done in about 6 months. And with the bronze plaques and everything. Because it is outdoors, we hope it will be a place people can come and visit anytime on the weekends or holidays. It will be part of what we hope to develop into an Inventors Commons, an outdoor space for events and gatherings, a place where students and Floridians can go. Nominations for next year's Florida Inventors Hall of Fame will open November 1st. We invite you all to consider nominating an outstanding inventor. And we hope you will join us next September when we induct our second group of inventors into the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. So thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Sandberg. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the brilliant, poised, and elegant Dr. Judy Genshaft, who serves as president of the University of South Florida USF system. USF is one of the nation's largest and most comprehensive metropolitan research universities, serving nearly 48,000 students. It's one of the top 50 research universities in the U.S. and international leader in patents, ranked in the top 15 in the world for the past 4 years. She's an honorary member of the National Academy of the Inventors and sits on the Executive Advisory Board. She was also instrumental in founding the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. Please put your hands together and welcome President Genshaft.
Thank you so much for being part of this very special event, which celebrates and honors the spirit of invention, which has made our state and nation great. Congratulations to all the inductees who are with us tonight, and welcome to also your family, students, and colleagues who have joined you this evening. I just want to tell you that Dr. Paul Sandberg has really and truly been the spirit and force behind this whole initiative. Not only is he an inventor, but also his wife Cindy is also an inventor as well. And I just think you both deserve a great deal of kudos and thank yous. It's an honor to be with you and to recognize some of our very special guests. I know that Paul did some of these already, but it never hurts to mention you twice. It is our great partners and our commitment to invention and innovations who are helping to drive this new era in Florida. So thank you so much for joining us, and we really and truly are so grateful. U.S. Commissioner for Patents, Peggy Focarana. Thank you so much for flying down. Apalachicola Mayor Van Johnson Sr., raise your hand. All right, thank you. Hillsborough County Commissioner Mark Sharp. Well, you, stand up, you're tall enough for everybody to see you. University of Central Florida President John Hitt, my good friend, come on. Stand up, sir. Up. There he is, yeah. And Florida Atlantic University, anybody here? I know you're here from Florida Atlantic. There you are, okay. And tonight we celebrate a special collection of trailblazers who includes some of the most iconic names in American history, such as Thomas Edison and John Gorey, and the modern day geniuses who continue to push the edge of innovation. This inaugural class of inventors being inducted tonight tells us a uniquely American story, one of perseverance, of resilience, of vision, and an unrelenting drive to create the technology that makes life better for others. I'm very proud that the University of South Florida has taken a leadership role in recognizing and celebrating the inventive spirit as home to the National Academy of Inventors. By celebrating inventors, we encourage a new generation of innovators to pursue their ideas and believe in themselves. We appreciate the arduous process of invention through the failed experiments, the meltdowns, the long nights when it is just them and them alone, working tirelessly to bring their ideas to fruition. The brilliance is in their ideas and also in the process. The Florida Inventors Hall of Fame endeavors to encourage individuals of all ages and backgrounds to strive toward the betterment of Florida society through continuous groundbreaking innovation. The future is ours to create. It has been so in the past, and as long as we support and celebrate inventors, it will be so in the future. Thank you all. Have a great night and enjoy the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame first time ever celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, President Genshaw. Our next Florida Hall of Fame Advisory Board member is the Florida State Senator, Mr. Jeff Brandes. Yes, who represents Florida Senate District 22, which includes part of Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. He takes care of us. He was also elected to Florida House Representatives in 2010, to the Florida Senate in 2012. He served in the U.S. Army Reserves from 1996 to 2007 with a tour of duty in Iraq from 2003 to 2004. Senator Brandes introduced the Florida State Resolution recognizing the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. Please welcome, I don't know whether to shake his hand or salute him, Senator Jeff Brandes.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Let me fix this here. I will just muscle through it. Very good. Well, thank you again so much for having me this evening. I served 2 years in the Florida House, and I've now served 2 years in the Florida Senate. I've come away with an impression of what the difference is between the Florida House and the Florida Senate. You should think of the Florida House as a military organization. It's got its generals, its colonels, its captains, and its soldiers. And you should think of the Florida Senate as 40 Somalian warlords. Often we're not sure who's in charge. Occasionally we're taking hostages. Sometimes those hostages won't make it out. But it's an honor to serve you in the Florida Senate. I'm here because 2 years ago I had the audacity to work with Google on this bill on self-driving cars. And I went to Google, and as all great legislation, it came out of a TED Talk that I watched on the way to Tallahassee. My staff knows that I have this addiction for TED Talks. And then often on our 4-hour ride up from St. Petersburg to Tallahassee, we see how many TED Talks we can cram in to a 4-hour drive. And I watched this talk by Sebastian Thrun from Stanford talk about the world of self-driving cars. And so I immediately went to work and said, what can we do to be involved in this technology? And my staff at the time said, you're crazy, don't do this. You're a freshman House member. They will think you're nuts. And so we didn't do it the first year. And then I changed staff. And my second year, he wasn't quite as strong as my first staff member. And so we actually ran this bill. And the fascinating thing was after I went to Google and I said, hey, I want to be involved in this and I want to work with you on this technology. And they said what they would tell any freshman House member from Florida, they would say, no way. And so I did what I thought was right and said, that's fine, Google, we'll do it anyways. And they told me the story about how this actually occurred. So Florida's actually the second state to have the laws on their books as relates to self-driving cars. And the first state was Nevada. And so I said, how in the world did Nevada become the first state? It seems so odd. How did this happen? And they said it was pretty simple. We had an engineer with a budget who decided not to tell Google what he was doing, but knew he needed to test the car someplace. And so he went out and hired a lobbyist and didn't tell Google. And not until it actually was about to go to the floor of the Nevada Senate for final passage, did Google figure out that this engineer who worked on this project had hired somebody so that he could legally test the vehicle in Nevada. And I just thought that was a fascinating story. So Florida now became the second state to do it, to test this technology and allow these vehicles to be tested. I don't know if many of you remember, but about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had the governor in town and we were testing these up on the upper deck of the Leroy Selman. And many of you will see this technology as a very interesting feature on a car. And maybe something that is 10, 20 years away. I'll tell you something, it's something that you'll see in the next 5 years. And as much as you'll see it as a standard feature on a car, as the chairman of Senate Transportation, I see it as a cure to a disease. Because we lose 2,500 Floridians every year to car accidents. We have thousands and thousands of families that have to have difficult conversations, challenging, horrible conversations with law enforcement. Friends of mine, family of mine, that have been killed in car accidents. And we realize that 93% of all car accidents are caused by human error. And this technology will allow us, in our lifetime, to radically change that. That car accidents are the leading cause of preventable death for teenagers. And we can cure it in our lifetime. What would we invest to do that? What would we give to cure that disease? And so I'm excited to see this take place tonight. I'm excited for what we're going to do. And I realize that my job is to let it happen. My job is to hold government at bay and let you innovate and invent. So with that, God bless you. Thank you so much for having me here. And God bless the great state of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Now I have a privilege, a great privilege, of introducing to you Commissioner Margaret A. Focarino. She's the first woman to serve as Commissioner for Patents in the United States Patent and Trademark Office in over a 200-year history. She led the agency in implementing the first significant changes to the patent examiner credit system in 30 years, which helped usher in one of the USPTO's most productive periods. Under her leadership in 2013, the USPTO was ranked #1 as far as the best places to work for the federal government. She's an honorary member of the National Academy of Inventors and a member of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame Advisory Board. Please give a big round of applause and welcome to the stage Peggy Focarino.
Hello. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. What an exciting night it is, right? So it's truly an honor to be here, and I'd like to thank Dr. Sandberg and the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame for inviting me. Here in Florida, I'm able to pretend that summer is not over and that another polar vortex is not barreling its way towards the mid-Atlantic. As many of you know, Dr. Sandberg was instrumental in creating both the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame and the National Academy of Inventors. And in doing so, he also has been a true champion of innovation and in promoting the mission of the United States Patent and Trademark Office. We have worked closely with NAI on many occasions, and we look forward to continued success from that partnership. Speaking of our mission, the America Invents Act has provided us a more stable funding environment at the USPTO, and I want to quickly tell you about an exciting new quality initiative that we are putting into place. We call it Building a World-Class Patent Quality System, and it has 3 supporting pillars. First, to provide the best work products and services at every stage of the patent process. Second, to improve the customer experience with an emphasis on excellent customer service. And third, to engage the public in partnership to educate and seek your input. We'll be traveling coast to coast around the country in the coming months, presenting a number of public forums about the new initiative. I hope you will check out our website at uspto.gov for more information about it, and let us know what your experience was after you applied for a patent or had some other interaction with the USPTO. Now, back to the exciting moment at hand. All of the inventors about to be inducted here have one thing in common. They have all been granted a US patent. In fact, most of them have been granted far more than one. Altogether, these 6 Floridians have been granted more than 1,300 patents. And since 1976, more than 100,000 patents have been issued to inventors in the state of Florida. And those numbers continue to go up every day. A patent to hold in your hand, to know that you have created something new and unique, and that the Constitution of the United States gives you the right to protect it. What is that like? No, I'm really asking because I have seen and read and approved 1 million of these patents. That's not an exaggeration. And yet, I must confess that even I cannot know the depth of pride and excitement that an inventor knows. My own grandfather received a patent for a razor blade dispensing device, and when I became commissioner in 2012, that patent was the first item I moved into my new office. I literally look at it every day and remember him bent over his workbench, tinkering away with his tools. And I remember how proud he was of that US patent. Inventors are a special breed. They are dreamers, they are makers, and they are among the most important contributors to that great story that we call America. So tonight, we honor 6 inventors who have created technologies that have improved, have enhanced, and even changed our lives. It is now my great pleasure, along with Dr. Sandberg, to induct the first class of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. I would like to now ask Dr. Sandberg to rejoin us on stage and join Commissioner Focarino to begin the induction ceremony. She could stand. Our first inductee is Robert Cade, who lived from 1927 to 2007. As a University of Florida professor, Dr. Cade developed the hydrating sport drink that has saved many of us in the sweltering temperatures that we're experiencing today. That sports enthusiasts experience when they're on the field is commonly known as Gatorade. Take a look.
It all happened more than 30 years ago, but I remember it as though it was just yesterday. It was 1967. It was a summer of love. But somehow, someone forgot to tell these guys.
Arkansas 67 is underway!
Florida Gators were doing tough against the favorites, Georgia Tech, in their first ever Orange Bowl.
The Gators have no answer to this.
In the first quarter, it seemed like Georgia Tech had all the answers. My teammates, they were blocking their hearts out, but it seemed like nothing was working.
The guys were getting hammered. Go Gators! We did everything we could to try and lift them.
By the end of the first quarter, me and just about everybody else in the place never gave them a chance.
Oh, the Gators are not looking good.
The
problem for the Gators was that they expended so much energy early in the game that they had none left for the end. So we devised a drink of carbohydrate and electrolytes that speeds into the system and supplies everything they need for energy production. Naturally, we named it Gatorade.
Whatever these guys came up with worked, because when the Gators came out the second half, they were a different team.
Well, folks, I figure the Gators coach had some stern words to say to his players because they're playing the third quarter as if their life depended on it.
In the second half, our guys seemed to get more tired, but those Gators, they just kept on coming.
We got a whole new ball game here, folks. These are Gators we have not seen before. They are
The final nail in Georgia Tech's coffin came when Larry Smith set an Orange Bowl record by running 94 yards for a Gator touchdown.
Larry Smith is a locomotive. It's all over now, folks. The Florida Gators have taken the Orange Bowl.
So the Gators, with a little help from the doctors from the University of Florida, won the 1967 Orange Bowl for the first time ever. After the game, Georgia Tech's coach Bobby Dodd said to me, "We didn't have Gatorade. That made the difference." I believe that then, and I still believe that to this day.
Accepting on behalf of Dr. Cade is his daughter, Miss Phoebe Cade Miles, president and co-founder of the Cade Museum for Creativity and Invention in Gainesville, Florida. Congratulations.
So thank you so much to all of the coordinators of this grand event. Florida is a great state, and I think all of us here are looking forward to Florida being known as a great place to do business and a great place to be an inventor. So on behalf of the University of Florida, go Gators, and the entire Cade family, I would like to say thank you very much for this great honor. So I would like to add, though, that my dad didn't really start out as a great inventor or even a great Floridian. Allow me to read a letter that his high school teacher sent to his mother. It's from Mrs. Martha Henderson, a teacher at Brackenridge High School in San Antonio, Texas. And it's dated December 12, 1941. So it starts, "Dear Mrs. Cade, I am sorry to report that there is no favorable change in Robert's conduct or attitude since report cards were sent home. The greatest trouble is lack of self-control, lack of appreciation, and lack of consideration for those students who do want to work. Robert could be an outstanding student, but he chooses to make silly remarks rather than constructive remarks. He is doing everything possible to not get anything out of class. Seems to me, with his intelligence, Robert should realize he is doing himself a great deal of harm. Sincerely, Martha Henderson." The attendance counselor at school voted him most likely to end up in jail. But fortunately for all of us here and for everybody in the state of Florida, his school record did not have the final say. If it weren't for the prayers of his mother and his childhood pastor and a long stint in the U.S. Navy, my dad's career might have ended before it even began. You see, my dad lived a life of exuberance. He had an irrepressible curiosity and simply delighted in discovering the truth and beauty of life. Yes, he was a researcher, a scientist, an inventor, but perhaps even more importantly, he was a poet, a musician, a cultivator of roses, and a man of deep faith. He also collected violins and Studebakers, and lots of them in the multiple digits. He just loved beautiful things. Once he even called me, when I was a little girl, he was so excited he called me into the living room to see a slide of a cross-section of a kidney that had been stained, and he was exclaiming that it was even more beautiful than any stained glass window he had ever seen in Europe. So as you can imagine, a person with this type of exuberant personality does not always behave exactly as you would like them to. This holds whether you're an elementary school teacher or whether you're the dean of the University of Florida Medical School. Which brings me to my final point. An incredible person like my father, or even Thomas Edison for that matter, he was homeschooled because his mother had to take him out of school because he couldn't learn in the regular school. So an incredible person is really only able to shine and to excel and to become the person that God intended them to be when they are surrounded by the right team. And if you look at the difference between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla, and just to let you know, AC/DC is not just a rock band, but AC/DC was a war between alternating current and direct current between Tesla and Edison. Tesla, by many accounts, was even more brilliant than Edison. And it was Tesla who won this AC/DC war. Alternating current is what we're using today. But Tesla never had the right team, whereas Edison, who we're honoring today, he's famous because he had the right team and the right laboratory that gave him the wings he needed to succeed. So I believe that it was the team around my dad that made our celebration possible today. I like to compare my dad to the wind. He was delightful, yet difficult to pin down. But my mom, who I would like to stand, she is I like to say she was the kite flyer and my dad was the kite. She kept him grounded. But his team at the University of Florida were graduate students that had just graduated from the University of Florida and were studying to become nephrologists. And I like to think of those team members as being the great sails of a ship that were able, and they knew how to capture my dad's energy and they knew how to direct it in a way that was positive and resulted in great progress. So I would like to introduce the team members that are here today, starting with Dr. Free, Dr. Jim Free, if he would please stand. He was from the first graduating class. And his family members, his wife, Carol. They're here too. And his son, Doug and Tabitha. And Dr. De Quesada and his wife, Graciela. Dr. De Quesada. They were this great team. And then also the entrepreneurial doctors that made it come to market. That's Dr. Kent Bradley. If his family members could stand, he is no longer with us. But all the Bradley family members, please stand. And finally, Dr. Tubbs, who is also on the entrepreneurial team, if they would stand. So thank you so much to a wonderful team. The team is always what makes the person be able to shine, and my dad's case was no different. So thank you to the University of Florida, to the family, and to the team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next inductee is Thomas Edison, which was a great segue, thank you. He lived from 1847 to 1931, and Thomas Edison was recognized as the most prolific inventor in U.S. history. He was a longtime Fort Myers resident, and every time that any of us flip on a light switch, we should think of this gentleman. Let's take a look.
If you have ever gone to a movie theater, listened to music, or read by the light of an electric bulb, you can thank Thomas Edison, the most prolific inventor in American history. His 1,093 patents cover an astounding range of fields, from telecommunications, electric power, sound recording, motion pictures, batteries, and even chemistry and botany. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11, 1847, in the canal town of Milan, Ohio. Al, as he was called as a boy, attended school briefly but did so poorly due to his lack of interest. His mother, a former school teacher, began to educate her son at home. Always a curious child and a voracious reader, Edison also taught himself by reading on his own. This strong belief in self-improvement remained with him throughout his life. By the age of 22, Thomas received his first patent on an electric vote recorder. This invention was ultimately a commercial failure, but he was undeterred and continued to work on various projects until, in 1871, he developed his first successful invention, an improved stock ticker called the Universal Stock Printer. Hundreds of other inventions would soon follow, but perhaps his most important invention was to lay the groundwork on how to invent and for introducing the research and development methods that are still used today. This collaborative style of innovation was the forerunner to the interactive technological think tanks of Apple, Google, and Microsoft. In 1876, Edison created his first research facility in Menlo Park, New Jersey. It was here that he developed some of his most famous inventions, such as a telephone transmitter, the first system of incandescent electric light and power, and the invention that brought him world fame, the phonograph, the first device to be able to record and play back sound. In 1887, Edison opened a new and larger facility in West Orange, New Jersey. During the 44 years he worked at this laboratory, he invented the first successful motion picture camera, better phonograph and recording technology, and an alkaline storage battery. About this same time, Edison visited Florida and purchased over 13 acres of property in Fort Myers to serve as a retreat from colder climates. While wintering in Fort Myers, Edison did not stop innovating. Here he improved light bulbs, researched underwater communications, investigated converting heat into electricity, and created a botanical laboratory. Fort Myers also became the headquarters for his final research project, when he went into business with good friends Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone and built a botanical laboratory in Fort Myers to find an alternative source of rubber for U.S. industry. With his customary energy, Edison grew and tested thousands of different plants to find a suitable rubber substitute, eventually finding a type of goldenrod that could produce enough rubber to be feasible. Today, the Edison and Ford Winter Estates in Fort Myers is an award-winning historical landmark, and in 2014, Edison's Botanical Laboratory was designated as a National Historic Chemical Landmark, the first such site in Florida to receive this honor. The world we live in today reflects Thomas Edison's legacy of innovation in countless ways. No other inventor has had such a profound impact on the daily lives of so many people. Steve Jobs once said, "Thomas Edison taught us how to invent. He also taught us that having a good idea is not enough. It takes hard work to make dreams into a reality." Genius, said Edison, is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. We salute Thomas Edison, Florida's and America's greatest inventor.
Accepting on behalf of Thomas Edison is Ms. Chris Pendleton, the President and CEO of the Edison Ford Winter Estates in Fort Myers. Let's hear it.
Hello, I'm very glad to be here today and to celebrate Thomas Edison's acknowledgement and induction into the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. You know, Edison was a Floridian from 1885 until his death. It was a long time, and he came here with 500 patents under his belt, and then he added another 500 during the years that he lived in Florida. An interesting thing that we didn't put in the program is that Edison also, over the years, managed to accumulate another 1,230-something European patents. So he was a very inventive man and certainly important to Florida and to the world. One of the things that we're so proud of, though, is the Edison legacy is living here with us in Fort Myers at the Edison Ford Winter Estates. We are great believers in the STEM initiative, and I know everyone in this room committed to invention and to moving us forward understands how important young people are to this entire process. So invention is terrific, but bringing the group along is also terrific. I appreciated your comment about Dr. Cade and the team that it took to get there. Edison believed in that. He believed in bringing the group along. He was accused of being addled as a young man. And at the Edison Ford Winter Estates today, we love our geeks. We have a great development force of young inventors, of youngsters in elementary school through high school and into college who are working on invention, the patent process, robotics. And one thing we have going for us that I think is so interesting, Edison spanned so many fields of invention. He was not just a mechanical scientist, he was an electrical engineer, and at the end of his life, he was also very devoted to botanical research. In the 1930s, he was part of the force that actually brought forward the 1930s Plant Patent Act. Before that, invention was really developed more toward mechanical processes and not plant science. So it's a very interesting life when you can look at the diversity of this genius. And I've been very honored to have been at Edison Ford for the last 14 years and developed the site. And now as we look forward to working with the young people, we know that Florida has a great workforce ahead of them and students that we must all direct our attention to. So congratulations to all the inventors and supporters in this room, and I encourage you to help all of us bring the workforce along, the inventors of the future. So thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here. I'd like to also recognize our terrific chief curator, who has an amazing collection of inventions. Stand up, Allison. Collection of inventions, photographs, patents, and encourage you all to visit us. Terrific laboratory that was just designated as a national landmark, and that's to Allison's credit. You feel like you're walking into the 1920s. I grew up as the granddaughter of a machinist and an inventor, and when I walk in there and I can feel what went on in that laboratory, it's all about invention. So congratulations to you all. We look forward to your progress, and let us know how we can help as you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pendleton. The next inductee is Dr. William Glenn, who lived from 1926 to 2013. Dr. Glenn was a professor at Florida Atlantic University and developed high-definition imaging, digital imaging for NASA. Here we look.
Dr. William E. Glenn, Jr. dedicated a lifetime of research to the fields of high-resolution imaging technology, electronic and optical physics, and electrical engineering. He was awarded more than 135 U.S. patents and published more than 105 technical articles. He holds an honored position among 50 prolific, commercially viable U.S. inventors whose number of patents are exceeded only by those issued to Thomas Edison.
It's hard to say how much was in nature and how much was nurture. His dad was a college professor, and they spent holidays and summers on the family farm in Georgia. So growing up on a farm, I think he learned to be self-sufficient. And besides, it was a depression, and also his dad had polio as a boy, so he had difficulty walking. And so Bill would try and find different labor-saving devices for his dad. But he was just interested. He was just inventive as a boy, and he had experiments going on in his room all the time. He was very soft-spoken and gentle, but when it came to his work, he was tenacious. He was a hard worker, and he was a real problem solver. He never got upset or frustrated by a problem. He loved them. You know, this was right up his alley.
He was not only my boss, he was a mentor and a friend, and so I even the projects I'm working on now, I wish he was here. I could ask him questions because you know, he was way ahead of everybody.
Dr. Glenn's legacy continues at FAU and beyond. One of his inventions could change the future of healthcare. The Norway-based company iLife is working to turn one of his patents into a portable, wireless, and pocket-sized ultrasound machine that could be used in doctors' offices around the globe.
Through FAU and several partners, we were able to pick the best patents applicable to iLife from Dr. Glenn. In particular, there's one patent that we are able to use in our development to make iLife happen. We will strive to improve healthcare in the best spirit of Dr. Glenn.
If I had a chance to sit with Dr. Glenn, I would ask him how he did what he did. How did he come up with one creative solution after another after another? Most people may have a good idea once in a while. He seemed to have good ideas constantly. And anybody that could do that could be a great teacher for the rest of us. So I'd like to keep his story alive at FAU and really celebrate him and his career as a role model for all the rest of us.
Accepting on behalf of Dr. Glenn is his beloved widow, Mrs. Jean Glenn and Dr. Mohammed Elias, Professor and Dean of the College of Engineering at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton.
Yes, I just want to say what a great honor this is this evening. And I know my husband would be very pleased. And I'd like to just say how grateful I am that I can share tonight with his granddaughter, Bonnie Glenn. And also I'd like to recognize John Marcinka, his right-hand man and leader of his team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next inductee is John Gorey, who lived from 1803 to 1855. Dr. Gorey was an Apalachicola physician and is considered the father of refrigeration and air conditioning. Take a look at this.
Here at the John Gorey Museum State Park, we celebrate Dr. Gorey from the beginnings when he was trying to cure malaria and trying to ease his patients' sufferings, to the invention of the machine which produced artificial ice and would be the precursor to modern air conditioning. Adjoining the John Gorey Museum is his gravesite and also a monument dedicated to him by the Southern Ice Exchange in 1900. Dr. Gorey was actively involved in his community of Apalachicola. As well as being a resident physician at 2 hospitals, he served as postmaster, bank president, and was a founding vestryman of the Trinity Episcopal Church. After 1845, he gave up his medical practice to pursue refrigeration projects. On May 6, 1851, Gorey was granted patent number 8080 for a machine to make ice. The availability of ice, no matter the season, helped to transform Florida and the nation as a whole. The original model of this machine and the scientific articles he wrote are archived at the Smithsonian Institution. John Gorey has been recognized in several different ways to honor his legacy. There is the John Gorey Memorial Bridge located in Apalachicola. 2 schools were also named after him, a junior high in Jacksonville and the oldest operating elementary school in the state of Florida located in Tampa. The University of Florida School of Medicine also recognizes Dr. Gorey with the John Gorey Award, which is presented to the most outstanding student in the class. Additionally, Dr. Gorey is recognized for his contributions to society by being acknowledged as a notable person in Florida's history and honored with a statue in the National Statuary Hall of Fame located in the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Modern refrigeration and the availability of artificial ice have changed the way we live. Much of modern refrigeration and ice production is still based upon the principles studied by Dr. Gorey. The Florida Park Service and the John Gorey Museum State Park are honored to be a part of this recognition of Dr. Gorey, his legacy, and his invention that changed the world.
Around the latter part of June, I received a telephone call from City Administrator Betty Webb informing me that someone had asked the city to nominate Dr. John Gorey for induction into the newly established Inventors Hall of Fame. And I could not think of anybody from Florida that would have been more deserving than Dr. Gorey. He is considered the father of modern refrigeration and air conditioning.
Therefore, it be proclaimed that I, Mayor Van W. Johnson Sr., on behalf of our distinguished Board of Commissioners, administrators, staff, and citizens of historic Apalachicola, hereby take this opportunity to give recognition and express our humble appreciation to Dr. John Gorey, M.D., and further dedicate the annual 2014 Water Street Festival Ice in his honor to coincide with his induction into the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame, hereby proclaim the 16th day of August 2014, Mayor Van W. Johnson Sr., Historic City of Apalachicola.
Accepting on behalf of Dr. Gorey is Mr. Joshua Hodson, Park Manager at the State George Island State Park and the John Gorey Museum in Apalachicola.
Good evening, everybody. Well, that Thomas Edison, he was a real go-getter, wasn't he? And while I have the chance, go Knowles. All right, got it. Half of the crowd with me. As they introduced me, I am the manager at the John Gorey Museum State Park in Apalachicola, and I humbly accept this award on behalf of the Gorey family, who unfortunately could not attend this evening. And I would like to thank all that were responsible for the recognition and nomination of Dr. John Gorey, including the historic city of Apalachicola, the Florida Park Service, and also the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. Dr. Gorey was vitally important to Florida's history, and we should all give him a nod of thanks each time that we turn on our air conditioners in our homes or in our cars or when we reach into the refrigerator for a nice cool drink. Dr. Gorey was a physician, humanitarian, and an inventor, and I think that he would be very honored
and very proud to be inducted into this inaugural class of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Oh, my air conditioner went out today, and it went out Labor Day, and it was 101 degrees, and that's not a good experience. How many of you can relate to that? Does that happen to you? It's tough. The next inductee is Dr. Shyam Mohapatra, professor and pioneer of the applied biomedical nanotechnology at the University of South Florida in Tampa.
As a young boy growing up in India, I loved math, I loved science, I loved looking at the stars. My goal was, what can I do to help others?
Shyam Mohapatra wanted to be a medical doctor. A passion for genetic research changed his path, but not his purpose.
Only way I can help patients is by creating the products that helps millions of patients, not just one patient at a time.
A distinguished health professor at the University of South Florida's Colleges of Medicine and Pharmacy, Dr. Shyam Mohapatra's product solution is tiny nanoparticles.
You're actually trying to change the protons and electrons in an atom.
Pioneering inventions in nanotechnology have focused on unique drug deliveries to combat allergies, viral infections, traumatic brain injury, and cancers.
What we're working on right now is called what we call smart nanoparticles. You can take the nanoparticles, you can target them specifically to the cells that are disease cells, leaving the other cells alone. Now that has a lot of benefits in a way that you reduce the amount of drug that's be given, it reduces side effects, and therefore, it's becoming more effective.
Among Dr. Mohapatra's 20-plus patents, a nano-based delivery mechanism that will inhibit RSV, a global respiratory virus that kills 200,000 people annually. Also, this nanotech device that detects HIV in 20 seconds.
I'm most excited about things that we're doing in the cancer area recently.
With ideas of using nanofibers to invent new cancer drugs and personalized treatment, Dr. Mohapatra is collaborating with a tumor expert and close colleague who happens to be his wife.
Any basic science question he gets, his eyes sparkles because he thinks that there is an application, it's going to be useful one day to help a patient, to help, humanity.
The senior vice president of USF Health is Dr. Charles Lockwood.
Inventors are able to see the same set of data, the same problems that the rest of us see, and think in a different way to solve the problem. And that is really a remarkable accomplishment. And whether you're Louis Pasteur or Dr. Mohapatra, it takes original genius, and it's a marvel to behold. We can only begin to imagine what cures and treatments he's going to be able to devise using nanotechnology.
Please welcome the one and only Dr. Shyam Mohapatra.
And it's an invention. Good evening. I'm truly and humbly honored to have this incredible recognition tonight. And yes, it definitely feels great to be in the company of this prestigious group of inductees as Florida is making history this evening with the founding of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. First, I'd like to thank the leadership from the USF Health, College of Medicine, College of Pharmacy, and the USF chapter of the National Academy of Inventors for the nomination. I also thank the members of the selection committee, some of whom are here tonight, for really recognizing an emerging technology such as nanotechnology for this award, for this recognition. Nanomedicine is an application of nanotechnology to biomedical diagnostics and nanotherapeutics. It's an exciting field, and indeed, I anticipate that it will fundamentally change how we care for our patients, how we conduct the healthcare in the decades to come. Nanomedicine is not something that you can do in the garage. So I thank the leadership at the College of Medicine, College of Pharmacy, the USF Research and Innovation, the USF Office of the President, to provide the support that was needed for the research and education in nanomedicine at the USF. It's an innovation ecosystem that is needed to promote and foster any invention that an inventor makes. Florida and the USF has been home to my family since 1996, since we migrated from Canada. And in about 19 years, we have had about 100 students, staff, faculty, postdoctoral trainees pass through this lab and the center. They have all trained in nanomedicine, have one way or other, have contributed to these inventions. And we also have really collaborated with countless faculty at the USF. Now, without these people, our inventions, our recognition would not be possible. Now, it's often a long, winding road from invention to a product with lots of ups and downs. A number of friends and colleagues in Tampa Bay community have catalyzed the personal zeal that I have for innovation and entrepreneurship and commercialization of our inventions. And let's not forget the patients that we have actually used to test our inventions in Venezuela, India, and the US. Hundreds of those patients, and really, I thank them all tonight. Last but not the least, let me thank the single person without whose support none of these could have been accomplished. She is not only a friend, a colleague, a collaborator, but a brilliant researcher and inventor in her own right. And this is my wife, Dr. Subra Mohapatra. Please stand up. Thank you. Now, her nickname is Tiki in my native tongue, which means small or nano. I couldn't have done any of this without you, so a big thank you. Now, have a great night, and this is the one for the USF. Go Bulls. Thank you.
Wow, well, we're down to our final inductee. Are you ready? Yes. Our final inductee from the University of Central Florida in Orlando is Dr. Shin-Sun Wu, a professor whose liquid crystal research has impacted every single cell phone, every laptop, every iPad, every smartphone that we touch each and every day and that we sell at HSN on television. Please welcome Dr. Shin-Sun Wu.
Hello, I'm Dr. Wu. I'm a Pegasus professor at University of Central Florida. My main research was in high-power lasers and the laser material interaction.
He appeared at my office one day and announced that he was going to be my student and he would finish in just 4 years. First off, students usually say, "May I be your student?" And usually they don't say when they're going to graduate. So it was very clear he was very unusual very early on.
I made two very important inventions. The first one was the study of infrared properties of liquid crystal. My second invention is related to a reflective liquid crystal display. It has two very important applications. The first one is direct view display, such as Game Boy Color. And the second one is a projection display, such as a Google Glass. It also paved a foundation for the later transflective display, which is a sunlight readable display.
It's because of ST that we can all read our cell phones in daylight. And that was a major breakthrough in how liquid crystal displays are designed.
From the smartphone to the TV to the Google Glass.
So its application is really widespread.
So there's a question always when you recruit a faculty member directly from industry, how will he be with students? And I would say with ST, it's just a fantastic success.
It's like my dream has come true to work with such a wonderful professor.
And he always listened to us patiently, give us a lot of valuable suggestions, and pray for us.
He's absolutely devoted to his students, but always produces and always does things that brings great distinction to UCF.
He really deserved this prestigious recognition.
St. Wu has been very, very creative and has many, many patents that have been extremely valuable over the years.
I have 80 patents.
And it's been very much a matter of pride for me to have been his professor.
I'd like to thank the selection committee for giving me such a great honor. This is a very humbling experience for me. I hope I will continue to work hard and generate useful patents to improve human lives. Thank you very much.
Wow, please welcome Dr. Shin San Wu.
Yeah, we need a new invention.
Seems to be a common problem.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to compliment the foresight of the Florida Senate and the visionary leaders such as Dr. Paul Sandberg for establishing Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. I'm so grateful to my nominator, Dr. M.J. Swallow. Oh, by the way, I didn't know that he nominated me until later. And also the selection committee for giving me such a great honor. This is indeed a humbling experience for me, alongside with these invention giants. Next, I would like to thank my PhD advisor, Professor Michael Bass. He's here today, and it is he who inspired me to do innovative research to advancing the quality of human lives. I recall that one day before my graduation, he called me to his office and said to me, "St, I have nothing else to teach you, but I want you to remember that we are from a Nobel Prize line." Tonight, I'm so thrilled to have him in the audience to witness what a great advisor he is. Please stand up, Professor Michael Bass. Thank you. Next month, at Tucson, Arizona. He and I will each receive a prestigious award from OSA, the Optical Society. This will be a very touching moment because my advisor and I will stand on the same podium receiving international recognitions. I also want to thank UCF and all my former and present group members for their creative work. My 10 PhD students are here with us today. They come to learn how to be a great inventor. Among the 81 US patents I received so far, 80% was generated since I joined UCF about 13 years ago. Nowadays, liquid crystal displays have been widely used in smartphones, iPads, car navigation systems, computer screens, and the TVs. I wonder how many of you do not use smartphone? So we'll have more business. In 2013, the worldwide market of liquid crystal display has exceeded $100 billion US. Besides research, I also enjoy very much being a Sunday school teacher. As you can judge from my white hairs, it's dark so that you cannot see it. I have been a Sunday school teacher for over 30 years. And tonight I also invited my pastor and his wife here. Pastor Lim. Finally, I would like to thank my family. My wife, Chiu Yan, she's here with me. My wife and I have been married for 33 years. We have one daughter, Janet, who cannot be here. She's in San Francisco. And one son, Benjamin. He's here tonight. Janet finished her degree from UC Berkeley and Benjamin from Duke University. And he is now a PhD student majoring in astrophysics at University of Florida. My wife is a faculty at the Florida College of Integrative Medicine. She is not only my great helper, but also my personal doctor. This is particularly important because only 2 out of the 6 inductees tonight are still alive. So please pray for me. And thank you all for your kind attention, and God bless.
Thank you. Wow, that was a night. So did you enjoy tonight's event? I just want to say before we close that, I said this at the beginning of the evening, you know, I'm touched by so many inventors in the job that I hold for HSN, which is a $3.5 billion company and growing. And the influence of what I see in the room and the effects of the inventions dating back to the 1800s through today, it's just mind-boggling. I'm so flattered, so honored that Dr. Sandberg and President Genschaft chose me to be your Master of Ceremonies. Dr. Sandberg said to me in his office during our preliminary review of the material and the evening and the gala, he said, "We'll be doing this in 20 years. But I'd like to welcome back to the stage, or back to the front, please, all of the inductees as you all put your hands together in a big round of applause. And I also ask you to please join us next year as we induct another 6 inventors into the Florida Hall of Fame. Will the inductees of the evening please join us at the front? And then we'll conclude. All of the inductees right there at the front. Right there. Line up right there. Dr. Sandberg, please. Ms. Focarino. They want to get a great picture, and then you can give them a big standing round of applause. Let's hear it for the inductees and their recipients. That should make the New York Times right there. That's the photo. On behalf of Dr. Paul Sandberg, Chairman of the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame, President Judy Genshaft, our host of the Advisory Board, and also the sponsors, we would like to congratulate all of the 2014 inductees into the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, please be safe. This is a momentous occasion and obviously will be a part of Florida and American history. Good night, everyone.